Hello, good day. Welcome back to Mental Health Mondays. Dr. Ulysses Jackson. Today we're going to get into a topic, a conversation that I thought about. I said, man, nobody want to hear it. But then I looked at the statistics. And the statistics was alarming. So, I'm going to bring it out. So today's topic we want to discuss, man, is re-entry from jails and prisons. The reason I picked this topic is because I believe everyone knows someone who's been incarcerated. In jail, coming home from jail, or going to jail. If you don't know someone that's in jail or coming home from jail, you know someone else that does. And we're talking about everybody from every walk of life. I'm talking about men and women. And I also have to add into the disclaimers that this is an informational discussion. By no way is this therapy or it should be taken as therapy at all. This is informational. So when someone's coming home from jail or prison, how do we help them? How do we assist them in coming home? And if you were one on the side, coming home or receiving someone from home, if receiving someone coming home from jail, it was some things that you had to do. It's some processes that you had to go through. First of all, I like to listen to people when they're coming home. What's their worldview of what's going on? This depends on how long that they've been incarcerated. This goes to, if you did 3 to 6 months in the county, the reentry may not affect you because that was 90 days. As some say, skid bid. Some say a hop, skip, and a jump. It was nothing. It was irrelevant. It wasn't that long. To some people, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months in the county could be devastating. So depending on how long your incarceration was and your experience with this incarceration is going to determine a lot of factors in how you're moving and how you're thinking. So first we have to find out what's their worldview. Some people have been in jail from 6 months to 6 years and come home as if nothing happened and if they got the bull by the horns and they know it all. Oh, I know. Some people got it like that. I'm saying? Some people don't. That readjusting could take a very long time and it could be harsh for some people. So we have to take in mind that, like, when we're welcoming someone into our home and we're saying, come back and we love you and we miss you, we got to understand that it's a process in which they have to come back into society. And we call that reentry. Also, having a committed support group is very, very important. And that's why if you was ever incarcerated, before you come home, probation and parole, they want to verify addresses. Well, we're going to go to this house and we're going to verify whether or not you can go there or whether or not it's welcome. You're welcome. You could have went to jail or been incarcerated from, like you said, 6 months, a year or longer. And when you left, your significant other, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your friend, could have been in a situation where they loved you and they were welcoming and come home, Ulysses, we love you, come. But then in that time that you was incarcerated, life goes on. Their life may have went on. They may have met someone else. They may have reevaluated their situation and said, you know what? He or she no longer fits the criteria in which he's a part of my life. It's some changes around here, and you're one of them. But meanwhile, you're in a place writing these letters and hoping to get home and saying, babe, I miss you and I can't wait to get home. And meanwhile, that person has moved on to another place. You don't know this because you've been removed from society. Your society became on the noise, on the count, on the child. You know what I'm saying? That's been your reality. That loved one that's home and them children, they don't know what your new reality is. So guess what? If the re-entry works and you're going back to them, they get ready to meet a whole new person. And sometimes re-entering back in society is also based on what the experience that you had when you was incarcerated. It could have been a good experience. It could have been bad. You could have been with your friends. You could have been with your enemies. Your experience was your experience. What you've seen, what you've witnessed, all of this is the makeup of who you're going to be when you come home. And whoever allows you to come live with them, they got to take all that on. So when we say we're going to help our family members, we're going to help our friends re-enter and come back into society, there's some things that come with that. And again, if you ain't ready to take that on, or you can't, don't do it. Because you could be more detrimental to them than helping them out. Also, for those coming home, and for those receiving the person coming home, try to connect with all the community resources you can. I'm talking about if you ain't got no food, get in touch with the food pantry. You ain't got no clothes, get in touch with the Salvation Army. Because everybody's not balling and putting it through their legs. Nah, it's some regular people, which is, they say what, 75 to 95% of the whole world that may come home with nowhere to live and nothing to eat and without a verified address. I'm going to just touch this one on the statistics. I've heard more people in New York prisons stay longer because of unverified address. They didn't have nowhere to go. They had to go to a sober house. They had to go to a shelter. They had to go to a halfway house. That's why there's no rooms. And guess what? I got the hit for you. In the winter, because I'm from New York, in the winter, it's worse. Because you can no longer just pick up and say, I'm going to sleep on the park bench. Because you don't know how frigid it's going to be. So yeah, coming home with a verified address is very important. So how do we help people re-entering back into society? First thing we got to do is know what they're getting ready to encounter and what you're getting ready to encounter. And check this out. If it may be too much for you, just say no. Say, yo, no bueno, I can't do it. No good. Because when you say yes and they come to your residence or they're part of your responsibility and then you flip on them, like I was saying earlier, you could be more detrimental to them doing that than leaving them where they at. Because if you leave them where they at, it's like, you know what? I got to fend and fight and find my own. And sometimes people could receive that better when they say, you know what? I clearly understand this is a one-man job. I got to go out here and do me. You know, so let's be cognitive and conscious when we say, yo, my brother's coming home, my girl's coming home, yo, my cousin's coming home, yo, I got him. A lot come with that. Don't take that lightly. Because after 4 months, 4 weeks, and ain't nobody got no job, and they living off Department of Social Service, and ain't no bread coming in, and they not working, and you want some time with your loved one, and you want to smooch up, but when you walk in, he or she sitting there on the couch, looking crazy, or playing video games, be ready for all of that. Play the whole tape through. If you're mentally and emotionally not in a space for that, don't do it. Because this is where probation, parole, mental health counselors, we all come in. But yet, we could give them services in a building. We could talk to them through telehealth and on the phone. But guess who they live with? They live with you. Because you took them in. You said, yo, it's nothing. I got you, my dude. But then it becomes something. And ain't nothing wrong. We're allowed to change our mind. We're allowed to revisit the situation. We're allowed to say, let me think about it. We're allowed to say, hold on. Wait a minute. Let me talk to my partner. Think this whole thing through. You know, I'm just, again, this is informational, discussion so you guys could be aware of what's going on and what's going to happen when you take someone into your home or when someone's coming home. Understand. The most normal thing to do when a person comes home is we're going to hit them with a care package. So-and-so came home. Hit them off or hit her off. We go get the money together. We hit them. When I was young and somebody came home, get them something to drink, take them to a club, get them a drink, get them lit. And we forgetting that they got to go see the parole the next day. We already put them in violation mode. But we not being the one coming home from being incarcerated, we don't consider that. So all the people that's thinking when their friend come home from jail, Ask them first, do you have probation or parole with any stipulations and restrictions? Because if you can't be with a felon, and my other friend came home 2 months ago, and we want to go to the club and get lit, and he's on probation, all we got to do is get stopped. You got 2 convicted felons, both on probation or parole, consorting together. Yeah, in the commission of a new crime. They can word it however they want to word it and play it like Scrabble. But you got to be aware of that. You got to be aware of this, that like, I got one friend that lives with me or lives around us that's in trouble. We're going to make it like the big boom bash party. We're all together. We all the way up. Nah. Because when parole knocks on that door and got their partner with them with the gun, and they coming in to assist and look, now your argument is, you smell weed, officer, but that's not me, and this ain't my house. The people I live with smoke weed. That's why they've got to go and do that home check first. So we really getting into the depth, man, of what this whole reentry thing is, man. I want some people to be clear on what reentry is and what reentry isn't when we talk about coming home from jails and prisons. There's a lot of stipulations on some people coming home from these places. And the stipulations are, you have to go to a program, whether mental health or whether substance abuse. So now, if I come home and I'm in a program, right? Well, if I live with my family members, my wife, my husband, significant other, cousin, I gotta now get from that house to the facility to give a urine. How am I getting there? So don't get paroled in Manhattan, and then you gotta go to Suffolk County with no ride, no money, 2 times a week for treatment. And then go from there all the way back to Staten Island to see your PO. That doesn't make any sense. So you map all this out. Where is the possible treatment center I'm going to go to, from the proximity to the house or the residence that I'm going to be at, and how am I going to get there and back? Someone might start off in the beginning, it's nothing. We love to say it's nothing. A month later, it's something. And then if you want to enter the stick where you're like, but I got to check in, or I could get violated. Take all this into consideration, man. Map this out. Think these things through. No longer can we hold someone else responsible for our actions. We have to be accountable for the things that we do. Because whatever we did, unless we went and blew trial, 9 times out of 10, those coming from jails and incarcerated took a plea. And if you took a plea, that means you raised your hand in front of a judge in the presence of a district attorney, your own attorney, and you said, at this day and time, I've done this. So once you admit to that and you come home, you've also got a commitment to the rehabilitation, to stop that beautiful word they use, recidivism, which is the chance of you going back to jail for the same thing. Let's be clear. Recidivism rate is high. Based on what? The lack of community support. The lack of family support. Do you think that when these people sit you down, they ask you, who's your mother, who's your father, who's your siblings, where do you live, do you work? Those questions ain't snatched out of the air. They're going to be put in a file on a piece of paper, and these are your support group. But it's the back hit to this too. The back door is that if you ever run, they check in with them first, because you told them who would support you and some things that you're going to do. So don't let none of this take you by surprise. Reentry, coming home. This is where we at today. Mental Health Mondays. How you going to help somebody? Again, this is informational. This ain't therapy, this ain't counseling, this is informational discussion for those that either came home, or for those getting ready to come home, or for those getting ready to take someone in that was incarcerated. This is the things we're going to talk about. Find out your strength. Find out who's going to support you. Find out who may or may not tolerate you. Look for that assistance, because that's going to count big time in the end. So, did I snatch this out of the air today? Nah. And I also saw the statistics. So right now I'm going to give you some statistics on that incarceration piece. The statistics says this. The United States has at least 2 million people incarcerated. 1,560 prisons or state prisons. That's over 1,500 state prisons in America that's going to house some of us. They have 98 federal prisons that's going to house American citizens. We have over 1,300 juvenile correctional facilities. Y'all can add this up. 1,500 state prisons, 98 federal, 1,300 correctional facilities for juveniles. 181 mental institutions and psych wards, right? We ain't done. Over 80 jails for Indian population and various military prisons and state psychiatric hospitals. So if reentry is not a topic in somebody's household, something is. Let's go to the type of crime you committed or you was accused of committing. If you were SO, sex offender, or accused of that, the criteria to where you can go is a little more stricter. You can't be around this place. You can't be in this vicinity. You got to be home at this time with a strenuous curfew. Certain living conditions is where it's at. Then when you're living somewhere, even in a sober house, it's a stigma on you. That's when y'all going to come see a mental health counselor. That's when you want to go to therapy. Because imagine being wrongfully accused of that and got to carry it. Imagine have been convicted of the crime and you admitted to the crime of being a sex offender. When you come home, where you can go, you have limitations on you. And some of them are for 5 years or forever, depending on the level. We talking about reentry, man. We talking about the guy that pulled out the gun that shot somebody by mistake. We talking about the vehicular manslaughter. We talking about the DWI that killed somebody. We talking about the house that burned down where it was arson. All these people's coming home. 2 million. I read the statistics. Hit the rewind button on this to find out, you know what I'm saying, them numbers, man. Some of us have experience with being incarcerated extensive period of time and quote unquote, they know the game. But there are some people that's been incarcerated for long periods of time that had no clue what they were going to experience. So when you come home like the veteran that could hear a car backfire and jump on the ground, how do you think someone's affected after 10, 15, 20 years of the gates slamming and closing all day long? Some of this PTSD, this post-traumatic stress is real. Everybody's not saying, I got PTSD, give me a check. No, some people, the psychological effect of long-term incarceration, look it up. It's real. You know, it's real. Because that's a whole new way of life. That's a whole new, and some people that have never experienced it, it's like, it could be mind-blowing, traumatic. And some of us, man, some people could take years to reacclimate back with society. Some of us catch it and, you know, they're back in the flow of traffic and they rolling, depending on their support network. You know, some of us isolate. Some of us want to be back and try to catch up on everything we lost. I'm getting it all, you know. So be mindful that when you're guiding, whether you're the person that just came home or you're the person that's supporting someone that came home, take all this into consideration. Come back, hit rewind, listen to this, some pitfalls, some things to look out for. So if you're going to bring somebody home, understand and talk to them, yo, where's your treatment center at? Where's your PO at? Where's probation or parole? Oh, I CR'd. What that mean? Conditional release? You ain't got no probation or parole officer? So you're going to jump back in this thing running? Nah. Slow down. You know what I'm saying? Get in the slow lane. You know what I'm saying? This ain't no HOV, put your seat back and push out. Nah, this ain't that. You know? So know that the address you got to have is going to be confirmed. We got some family members and friends, right, that we're going to add to this support group and the support list. We want to always make sure that that support network is tight. You know, again, I do this Mental Health Mondays to let y'all know some things that I experience on a regular basis. I might get a client that say, yo, doc, I just came home. I got to go to treatment. I might get a friend that said, yo, my significant other's putting me out. Where am I going? Don't bring nobody to your house if you ain't ready for all that smoke that come with it. Or evaluate it and say, you know, I got to get up at 6 in the morning. Will you be in the bed by 12? If they say no, reevaluate it. Or if they smoke. And guess what? We all have the doorbell alarm. And every 5 minutes is going on and off because you don't want nobody smoking in your house. But yet they smoke and you know they smoke. And every 5 minutes they're going outside to smoke. Now you like, I didn't know you chain smoke. You didn't ask me. So take all this into consideration when we bring people to our houses and stuff like that. Because that cuts out all of the, that was my man, that was my friend, that was my homegirl, that was my family member, that was my brother, my cousin, my lover, my wife, my daughter. How did they do this to me? Think of the unthinkable that could happen, So we talking about re-entry, man. We're going to love each other, man. We're going to bring each other back to help. Get them the help they need if you can't help them. And by no means is this discussion to deter anybody. It's information that might help you. It might get you a better day. You know what I'm saying? Instead of going to work and have to tell someone else, man, I got this person at my house that, you know what I'm saying? Think it through, man. Think it through. Sober houses, transitional houses, you know what I'm saying? Shelters. This is where we find some of these people, man. Because at the end of the day, they ain't doing it alone. None of us are going to do this alone. Dr. Ulysses Jackson, Mental Health Mondays, Reentry, the discussion. Add on. Let us know what your experience was. And also let me know what you want to talk about on Mental Health Mondays. Hit that like button and subscribe. Follow me, Dr. Ulysses Jackson.